We have several more NHL signings to discuss today, including 2019 first overall draft selection Jack Hughes has inked his entry-level deal with the New Jersey Devils. We'll get into all the details coming up next. Welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have some breaking news with several NHL signings, and let's get started here today with the 2019 first overall draft selection Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils signing his 3-year entry-level contract. Now, as expected, this contract has a ton of bonuses in it, and I'll put that up here on the screen so you can have a look at the breakdown of the bonuses. But obviously, he's got a base salary, there's signing bonus, as well as performance bonuses, which put him to the rookie max that you can earn. No big surprise here, like Kakko, Hughes' contract has a ton of bonuses and a ton of opportunities for him to earn a variety of extra money here. Obviously, those different bonuses are broken down into a lot of different categories, whether it be games played, goals, whether or not the team makes the playoffs, all those different types of categories. Whenever he achieves anything, he'll earn extra money, which could impact the Devils' salary cap in the coming years of that entry-level contract, but I don't think they're too concerned about that right now. They still have lots of cap space. They're not really tied into too many players longer term, and really you have to give a player of this magnitude that type of contract. Obviously, very exciting times for the Devils. No big surprise here that Hughes is signed to his entry-level deal, something we fully expected here. Obviously, looking forward to seeing him play in the fall. Like I mentioned with Kakko yesterday, certainly going to be a lot of great players contending for the Calder Trophy, and all kinds of great rookies getting their NHL careers here underway. So Jack Hughes is now officially all signed up with the New Jersey Devils, and I'll certainly be curious to see just how many of those bonuses he can earn himself. Now, the San Jose Sharks have signed a variety of players, including 4 guys here who are all restricted free agents. Some of them seen time in the NHL, while a couple others were mainly minor leaguers in the American Hockey League San Jose Barracuda affiliate team. Getting started here with center Dylan Gambrell, who has signed a 2-year contract at $700K. Gambrell certainly projects to be more likely their number 4 center coming up here. Could earn his way up through the lineup here a little bit as time goes on, especially with the departure of Joe Pavelski. That's certainly going to create an opportunity for some more guys to have a chance to move up, and we'll see here, especially as Jumbo Joe Thornton continues to play. I mean, he's not signed yet, but we expect him to. So as guys like that get older and kind of create more opportunities for younger players like Gambrell to continue moving up, we'll see here. But he split last year between the American Hockey League and San Jose. Got a little bit of time in the playoffs as well. So didn't look too bad. Certainly projects to likely be a regular in the lineup for the coming year. And Gambrell certainly gets a little bit more term here than most of these guys, where he gets his second year at $700K. Now, they've also signed forward Antti Suomela, who also split last year between the American Hockey League and the NHL as well. Certainly another forward they want to keep here into the mix as well. He certainly had his moments where he looked pretty decent. So Suomela gets a 1-year deal at $700K here as well. They've also signed restricted free agent Maxim Letunov as well to a 1-year deal at $700K. And defenseman Nick DeSimone as well gets a 1-year contract at $700K as well. He had a really solid year for the Barracuda as a defenseman, put up a lot of points last season. Put up 46 points in 64 games for the Barracuda, and he gets a 2-year deal here at $700K. So some pretty value signings here. I do expect a possibility here that Gambrell could start the year in San Jose. Maybe Suomela, depending on how the roster shapes out. But certainly there's a possibility that those two for sure get NHL opportunities for the coming year. The other two's hard to say, but there's certainly some interesting prospects, especially defenseman DeSimone. Would not be surprised, depending on injuries, if he does get some opportunities. But as we've seen with the Sharks here, they have a lot of money tied up in their top 3 or 4 defensemen, so I don't expect too many youngsters to be getting many opportunities, and when they do, they won't be getting a lot of ice time because of guys like Carlson, Burns, Vlasic, etc. So some pretty valuable signings here by the Sharks to get many of their smaller RFAs looked after. Now we finally have a contract for Ryan Dzingel. He's inked a 2-year deal here with the Carolina Hurricanes. Obviously, Dzingel is one of the top free agents that have been kind of hanging around here looking for a contract. Many expected Dzingel to likely get a deal on July 1st, maybe July 2nd, and it's really drug out here quite some time. Obviously, he waited a little bit too long. Could have likely had more money and more term had he not waited so long here. He had an opportunity to sign a 5-year extension with the Senators before he was traded to Columbus, and could have earned somewhere, I believe, it was between $4.5 to $5 million. And obviously he's ended up taking a lot less term and a lot less money. And if you compare him to the Michael Furlan signing, even though they're a different type of player, they're the same age 27. And Dzingel's put up better offensive numbers here recently with 56 points last year, career year, back-to-back 20-goal seasons. And he actually gets less term and less money than Furlan. Furlan signed a 4-year deal at 3.5, and now Dzingel gets a 2-year deal at 3.3. So certainly an interesting market here for Ryan Dzingel. We had reports from the New York Post and Larry Brooks indicating before that many teams felt there were red flags around this player. I'm not really sure what those red flags are. I mean, I've seen him play quite a bit during his time in Ottawa. He's got incredible speed. He certainly could stand to finish a little bit more of his breakaways. He gets a lot of them because he's so fast, and as over time though has learned to finish a little bit better here, and certainly improved himself, can play in the power play. So really overall, I don't really see what the red flags are. I know things didn't seem to mesh well in Columbus. I don't really think he fit with John Tortorella as the head coach there very well, but otherwise I'm not really sure what the issues might be. So I just find it interesting that he ends up getting less term and less money than a guy like Ferland, who has concussion history. They're the same age. Dzingel's got better offensive output. Just seems a little weird. So maybe there is something more behind the scenes here on this player that we're just not quite aware of. I'm not sure, but either way, he goes to Carolina. I think it's a great signing for them. Adds even more speed. He's still fairly young enough that he'll fit in with that young core. Obviously, you get Sebastian Aho under contract longer term now. You get Svechnikov on the rise. Many other young players like Niederreiter, Teravainen, etc. So I think he'll be an excellent fit there within their top six. Carolina certainly needed to add some more scoring, as we've discussed before. This should help with that. Dzingel should be good for 20 goals. I'm not sure if he can continue to beat his career highs and continue to grow here as a player, but I would say I would bank on somewhere between 20 to 25 goals for Ryan Dzingel. So another really good signing here by the Hurricanes. Now, we've also seen the Montreal Canadiens sign winger Artturi Lehkonen to a 2-year deal here as well. Yesterday when we did the signings video, he had signed shortly after I had that recorded, where they had Armia signed to his contract, and then the Lehkonen news came not long after, but of course the video had already been made, so I said I would include him here in the next one. I think it's $2.4 million over 2 years. He played in all 82 games last year. The Finnish winger really looks to have found himself a pretty solid home. I think he still has some more upside here to continue growing and continue to put up better offensive numbers. He had 31 points last year, so if you compare that to a lot of the other signings we've seen for some comparable players, at least with statistically speaking, looking at like a Danton Heinen, for example, comparing him to Heinen actually makes his contract look pretty good, because Heinen got $2.8 million. So really, I like this signing for Montreal. He's proven to be a pretty versatile winger, and I think that he'll continue to grow here and put up better numbers. So overall, another great signing here by Marc Bergevin and the Habs. And then lastly here we have the Anaheim Ducks signing veteran defenseman Michael Del Zotto to a 1-year contract at $700,000. Of course, he finished the year with the St. Louis Blues, ended up being on the Stanley Cup championship team. Unfortunately for Del Zotto, he's seen limited action during the end of the regular season. He did get some playing time during that time due to injuries, but didn't play in the playoffs. He was one of their black aces, but still got the chance to be part of a Stanley Cup winner. Of course, he was with the Ducks before going to St. Louis, started the year with Vancouver, and ended up being moved around on a couple different occasions, but he was with the Ducks for a period of time, so it's a player they're already familiar with. Adds another veteran as a depth defenseman. He gets a league minimum $700K. So overall, just another way for the Ducks to add, some more depth to the blue lines. Hard to say exactly where he'll slot or how much playing time he'll receive there, but certainly, a decent signing here with very little risk on the short term and low income here for Anaheim. So that is all your signings for today. Of course, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. We'll be back when we have more information to discuss here on signings or trades or any other breaking news around the NHL. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.